are live on ERi-TV with English news broadcast. Dear viewers, hello and thank you for joining us. Do stay tuned for our domestic and international report for April 26, 2026. To begin with, I present you the top stories. Eritrean delegation participates at Euro-Asia Summit. World Malaria Control Day observed at national level. In our international, President Trump cancels planned talks with Iran. And gunmen stage simultaneous attacks across Mali. Welcome again. In today's domestic report, an Eritrean delegation led by Mr. Petros Tsagai, Eritrea's ambassador to the Russian Federation, participated in the 16th Euro-Asia Summit, which was convened in Russian Federation from 22 to 22 April. The objective of the summit, which was organized in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and Science of the Russian Federation, the Ural State University of Economics and the Yekaterinburg City Administration, was mainly to encourage university students and youth, as well as to create a common understanding among university students from around the world. Speaking at the event, Ambassador Petros said that the occasion will have a significant contribution in creating opportunities for strengthening cooperation. The summit was attended by 24,000 ambassadors, diplomats, university presidents, students and researchers from 117 countries. In another news, World Malaria Control Day, 25 April, was observed at the national level in Mbadar Hosaraja subzone under the theme Driven to End Malaria. Now we can, now we must. Ms. Himanwalda Georgis, representing the subzonal administration, said that as a result of the strong efforts being exerted, the prevalence of malaria has significantly declined. Mr. Kibrab Tesfa Mikhail, head of malaria control and follow-up at the Ministry of Health branch, said that as part of the effort to eradicate malaria worldwide from 2016 to 2030, strong efforts have been exerted in Eritrea since 2018. He called for reinforced participation by the public and partners to fully eradicate malaria. Mr. Kibrab also said that malaria infections worldwide from the year 2000 to 2024 numbered 2.3 billion, with 14 million deaths, 95% of which occurred in Africa. At the event, activity reports were presented by heads of health stations as well as village health representatives. World Malaria Control Day was observed for the 19th time at the global and national levels. Do stay tuned, dear viewers, for we shall be back with international news after the short break. Welcome back. Our international news begins with the crisis in the Middle East. Hopes for reviving Iran-US peace talks dimmed further on Saturday, when US President Donald Trump cancelled a planned trip by his envoys to Pakistan, and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian firmly rejected negotiations under pressure and threats. President Trump stated that he decided to call off the planned visit by US envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner because the talks in Islamabad involved too much travel and expense, and Iran's latest peace offer was not good enough for him. On the other hand, during a telephone conversation with Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on Saturday, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian stressed that Iran would not engage in any negotiations under pressure, threats and siege. The Iranian president pointed out that the maritime blockade imposed by the United States and other measures against Iran have hindered the building of mutual trust, and that continued pressure and confrontation would only make dialogue more difficult. He emphasized that reaching consensus among all relevant parties and building a conducive environment are prerequisites for advancing negotiations. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Saeed Abbas Araghchi is currently visiting Pakistan, Oman and Russia to enhance diplomatic coordination and promote regional peace progress. The first round of Iran-US talks in Islamabad on April 11 to 12 failed to produce an agreement. Moving on, gunmen have attacked Mali's capital Bamako and several locations across the country in a coordinated assault involving multiple groups. In Bamako and other regions of the country, bombings and armed assaults were carried out. As a result of the attacks, Mali's Minister of Defense, Diop Kamara, was killed, according to reports cited from Al Jazeera. The coordinated assaults left 16 people dead overall, with both civilians and military personnel among the victims, local sources confirmed. The Malian army announced that it had launched a broad military operation, asserting that the situation was now under control. The attacks were the deadliest Mali has experienced this year. Although no group has officially claimed responsibility, there are suspicions that militant organizations affiliated with Al-Qaeda may have carried out the assaults. The country is battling rebellions by the West African affiliates of Al-Qaeda and ISIS, as well as the Tuareg-led rebellion in the north. It is to be recalled that Mali formed the Alliance of Sahel States in 2023, along with Burkina Faso and Niger. The trio, which have formally split from West African Regional Bloc ECOWAS, have formed a joint military battalion aimed at fighting groups across the Sahel. In today's final report, at least 14 people were killed and 38 others wounded in an explosive attack in western Colombia on Saturday, which is expected to have been conducted by dissidents of the FARC guerrilla group. The violence came a day after a separate attack in Cali, a city in southwestern Colombia, where the Colombian army said FARC rebels abandoned a bus loaded with cylinder-type explosives near a military base. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has pursued a total peace policy through negotiations and intermittent ceasefires. Although the Colombian government and the FARC signed a peace agreement in 2016, and most of the group's members have since disarmed, several factions rejected the accord and continued to wage armed attacks. The government's diplomatic negotiations with the country's second-largest armed group, ELN, however, are reported to be advancing slowly. With this, we conclude our domestic and international report for this session. Dear viewers, now the top stories once more. Eritrean delegation participates at ERi-TV summit. World Malaria Control Day observed at national level. President Trump cancelled planned talks with Iran. And gunmen staged simultaneous attacks across Mali. This was The World on Sunday with ERi-TV English News Broadcast. Dear viewers, from all over the thank you for watching.